Jon Moxley rejects Don Callis deal on AEW Collision. Jon Moxley just told Don Callis to take his deal and shove it. The most dangerous man in AEW just slammed the door on one of wrestling's most manipulative masterminds, and the fallout is going to be nuclear. This wasn't just a rejection, this was a declaration of war. What's going on? Wrestling vs. Family. Welcome back to the channel where we bring you the most intense moments, the biggest shockers, and the feuds that have the wrestling world absolutely buzzing. If this is your first time here, do me a favor and smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell because you're not gonna want to miss a single second of the chaos we cover. Today, we're breaking down one of the most pivotal moments in AEW history. Jon Moxley, the unhinged, unpredictable, and unstoppable force of nature, just rejected a deal from Don Callis on AEW Collision. And trust me when I say this, wrestling vs. family, the implications of this moment are massive. We're going to dive into exactly what happened, why it matters, what Don Callis was offering, and where this story goes from here. So buckle up, because this is about to get wild. Let's start by talking about the two men at the center of this story, because understanding who they are is crucial to understanding why this moment is so significant. First up, Jon Moxley. This man is chaos personified. From his days tearing through WWE as Dean Ambrose to becoming the heart and soul of AEW, Moxley has always done things his way. He doesn't play politics. He doesn't kiss up to management. He doesn't take shortcuts. Moxley is a fighter, a warrior, and someone who lives and breathes this business on his own terms. Moxley has been AEW World Champion. He's main evented their biggest shows. He's had wars with the best in the world. But more than any title or accolade, what defines Jon Moxley is his refusal to compromise who he is. He'd rather lose on his feet than win by selling out. And that's what makes him so dangerous and so respected. Now let's talk about Don Callis. If you're familiar with Don Callis, you know he's one of the most cunning minds in professional wrestling. This man has been involved in the business for decades. He's managed top stars. He's been a commentator. He's been an executive. And everywhere he goes, he leaves a trail of manipulation, mind games, and calculated chaos. Don Callis is the type of man who can sell ice to someone living in the Arctic. He's smooth. He's persuasive. And he always has an agenda. The Don Callis family isn't just a stable, it's a machine designed to dominate AEW through strategy, numbers, and ruthless tactics. Callis has brought in some of the most talented and dangerous competitors in wrestling today. He surrounds himself with killers, assassins, and people who are willing to do whatever it takes to win. And that's exactly why his interest in Jon Moxley is so intriguing and so dangerous. So let's get into what actually went down on AEW Collision, wrestling vs. family, because this segment was loaded with tension. The scene is set. Jon Moxley is in the ring or backstage, wherever this confrontation happened, and Don Callis approaches him with that signature smirk on his face. You can feel the manipulation coming from a mile away. Callis has that energy where you know he's about to try to get inside someone's head. And that's exactly what he does. Don Callis starts laying out his pitch to Jon Moxley. He talks about power. He talks about dominance. He talks about how together, they could rule AEW. Callis paints this picture of what life could be like if Moxley joined the Don Callis family. Imagine it, right? Jon Moxley with the resources, the backup, and the strategic mind of Don Callis behind him. On paper, it sounds unstoppable. Callis probably mentioned how Moxley has been fighting alone for too long. How he's been carrying the weight of AEW on his shoulders. How he deserves to have an army at his back. The offer probably included promises of championships, main events, and the kind of dominance that only comes when you have someone like Don Callis pulling strings behind the scenes. It was tempting. It was strategic. And for anyone else, it might have been the deal of a lifetime. But this is Jon Moxley we're talking about. Moxley stands there, listening to every word. And you can see it on his face. He's not buying it. He's not interested. He's not for sale. And when Don Callis finishes his pitch, expecting Moxley to see the light and join his family, Moxley does what Moxley does best. He rejects it. Hard. Moxley probably told Callis exactly where he could stick his deal. He made it crystal clear that he doesn't need anyone, doesn't want anyone, and that he'll succeed or fail on his terms. No manipulation. No shortcuts. No selling his soul to a snake oil salesman. The look on Don Callis's face. Priceless. You could see the gears turning in his head. The realization that his smooth talk didn't work. That Jon Moxley is a different breed of wrestler who can't be bought, manipulated, or controlled. And that's when you knew this story was just getting started. So why does this rejection matter so much? Wrestling vs. family. Let's break down the implications, because they're huge. For Jon Moxley, this moment reinforces everything we love about his character. In an industry where so many people compromise, where so many wrestlers take the easy path, Moxley stands firm. He represents that old school mentality of, I'd rather do it my way and fail than succeed by becoming something I'm not. This rejection tells the audience that Moxley is going to war with the Don Callis family, and he's doing it alone. That's not stupidity. That's courage. That's the kind of storytelling that makes you root for someone even harder because you know the odds are stacked against them. From Don Callis's perspective, this rejection is a massive blow to his ego. Don Callis is used to getting what he wants. He's used to people falling in line. He's used to his manipulation working. But Moxley just proved that there are still people in this business who can't be controlled. And here's the thing about guys like Don Callis, they don't take rejection well. When you embarrass them, when you say no to them, when you expose the fact that their power has limits, they become dangerous. They become obsessed. And they'll do whatever it takes to make you pay for that rejection. So what does Callis do now? He's got an entire family of killers at his disposal. He's got the resources. He's got the motivation. And now he's got a target. Jon Moxley just painted a bullseye on his own back, and the Don Callis family is coming for him with everything they've got. For AEW as a whole, this storyline is money. You've got the lone wolf versus the pack. You've got morality versus manipulation. You've got one man's principles going up against a family's ruthless ambition. These are the kinds of stories that create unforgettable moments and legendary matches. Let's talk about how the wrestling community has reacted to this moment, because social media has been on fire. AEW fans are absolutely loving this storyline. People are praising Jon Moxley for staying true to his character. They're saying things like, "This is why Moxley is the heart of AEW. He doesn't compromise. He doesn't sell out. This is real wrestling storytelling." Then you've got fans who are already predicting what's coming next. The speculation is wild. People are fantasy booking Moxley versus every member of the Don Callis family in brutal, violent matches. They're talking about potential street fights, Texas death matches, and all-out wars that push both sides to their limits. Some fans are worried about Moxley taking on an entire faction by himself. They're saying, Mox is tough, but can he really survive against all of them? He's gonna need help eventually. And that's valid. The numbers game is real in wrestling, and going it alone against a family that fights dirty is a dangerous proposition. Wrestling journalists and podcasters have been dissecting this moment too. They're talking about how this is classic wrestling psychology. The babyface who refuses to compromise even when it would be easier to say yes. The heel stable that's going to make his life a living hell because of that rejection. It's storytelling 101, but it's being executed at a high level. Even people who don't regularly watch AEW are talking about this. That's how you know a moment landed. When casual fans start paying attention, when clips go viral, when people who haven't watched in a while suddenly want to tune in, that's when you know you've created something special. So where does this go from here? Let me give you my predictions. Wrestling vs. family. The Don Callis family is going to make Jon Moxley's life hell. We're talking ambushes. We're talking sneak attacks. We're talking about Moxley getting jumped backstage, in the parking lot, during matches, everywhere. Callis is going to use his numbers advantage to wear Moxley down physically and mentally. Moxley is going to fight back with everything he has. We're going to see him take on member after member of the Don Callis family in singles matches. These won't be clean, technical wrestling matches. These will be battles. Expect blood. Expect violence. Expect Moxley showing exactly why he's called the most dangerous man in AEW. At some point, Moxley might find some unlikely allies. Maybe other wrestlers who are tired of the Don Callis family's dominance step up to help. Or maybe, and this is a big maybe, Moxley stays stubborn and refuses help until he's pushed to the absolute brink. Either way, the story writes itself. I predict we're building toward a massive match at a major AEW pay-per-view. Maybe it's Moxley versus the entire Don Callis family in some kind of handicap or elimination match. Maybe it's Moxley and a team he reluctantly puts together in a War Games-style match. Whatever it is, it's going to be brutal and it's going to be unmissable. There's also the possibility that Don Callis tries to recruit other people to go after Moxley. Hired guns. Mercenaries. People who have old grudges against Mox. Callis is smart enough to know that if you can't convince someone to join you, you hurt them by turning everyone else against them. And here's a wild prediction. What if someone does betray Moxley? What if someone Mox trusted decides that Callis's offer is too good to pass up? That would add another layer of personal betrayal to this story and make it even more emotionally charged. The bottom line is this. Jon Moxley rejecting Don Callis's deal is just the beginning. We're in for months of incredible storytelling, brutal matches, and moments that will have us on the edge of our seats. This is the kind of long-term booking that makes wrestling great. Alright, Wrestling vs. Family. That's the complete breakdown of Jon Moxley rejecting Don Callis's deal on AEW Collision and everything it means for the future. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your comments below. Do you think Jon Moxley made the right choice rejecting Don Callis? Can Moxley survive against the entire Don Callis family alone? Who do you think will be the first member of the family to face Moxley one-on-one? Do you think Moxley will eventually accept help, or stay the lone wolf? What match stipulation do you want to see come out of this feud? Let's get the discussion going. Your predictions and theories are always fire, and I love reading every single one. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you smash that like button. It really helps the channel and lets me know you want more deep dives like this. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss when we cover the latest AEW action, WWE drama, or any other wrestling news that's breaking the internet. This storyline has the potential to be one of the best in AEW history. Jon Moxley is at his best when his back is against the wall, and the Don Callis family is one of the most dangerous groups in wrestling today. If AEW books this right, we're going to be talking about this feud for years. Thank you so much for watching Wrestling vs. Family. I'm your host, and I'll see you in the next video where we break down more wrestling insanity. Until then, keep supporting your favorites, keep the passion alive, and remember, in wrestling, the best stories come from those who refuse to compromise. Peace.